Hey, I'm Melissa with Vintage Garage.
And I'm Dan from Broadway Antique Market.
And we are here to talk to you and give you some vintage therapy. So today's subject is so I've been doing a survey of vendors, dealers, asking what the biggest problems in their business are for the last few years. Gotten over 300 responses. So we're going to go through some of the top complaints or problems with the vintage business, and we're going to discuss it. One of the top 5 is, and I'm going to pose this to you, I can't find anything. I cannot find good merchandise at a good price to resell. And that is a problem. Go. Fix it for them.
I think people forget, and I hear this all the time too, oh my gosh. People forget that this is a business of relationships. And it's also a very private thing. You think you're going into someone's home, the personal thing. So you just can't approach it like, the bull in the china shop, because the bull doesn't buy anything. He doesn't get to buy anything. He really won't even get through the front door. So there's simple little things that people might go like, what? Have a business card. Just a simple little business card. Your name, your phone number, somebody can text you photos, email address. Simple. Make it simple for people to get in touch with you. Okay? Because they're not always ready to sell. I don't know what I have. I don't want to get taken advantage of, understandably. Absolutely. Right? So again, it goes back to that information. And let's just say, you're out garage sailing, estate sailing. Let's just stick with garages. I think that's better at the moment. A garage sale, find something, and maybe you do. Maybe you find something. Let's say you do. And yet, again, we were talking about in prior episodes on vintage therapy. Don't be a jerk. Be just decent. Just be a decent human being. Listen, because invariably people have their stories, and they're going to want to tell you about, they're selling off this stuff from their aunt who passed, and she was a lovely woman and she worked for Illinois Bell for 40 years. Don't go, yeah. How much is this chrome dinette set? Listen, be there. You'd be amazed what people tell you and when they feel more comfortable selling you things. So let's just say that even if you bought something there, it kind of opens the door for that. And it's so easy then to say, I don't know if, your aunt had other things, jewelry or vintage clothing. I buy, fill in the blank of whatever you as a dealer are selling, and give them that card. Ask their name, put it in your head, put it in your phone. Say, hey, send me pictures whenever you want. Or if something comes along and you don't know the price on it, I can help you. I can help you out with that. And really mean it. Really mean it. Again, it's a business of relationships. Have relationships. By this point in my life, I get so much email from so many people and so many texts. I'm not complaining. It just becomes a bit much in trying to respond, to people. And and do I buy? I don't know. 9 times out of 10, I probably don't buy something, but I always will, if I can, send them along to who might buy it. Because I'm, right? I'll give referrals all the time. People take advantage of that, then I get a little pissed off. But that's just me. You get 3 questions. So
let me dig in there for a second. Hang on, let me dig in there.
Yeah.
What about that pisses you off? Is it you give it to someone and they don't really say thank you, or?
Well, yeah. There's that, and then people can just take advantage. I'm not the internet. You know what I mean? I'm not the answer man. I'm not the phone book, right?
You are.
And my time is valuable. I'm not asking to be compensated for it, but you need to be cognizant of it and not take advantage of that. And I think often people, when they're selling on the other end, which is probably a whole other show, is how to sell things. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. I'm getting me started on that one. But
well, I've always believed the money to be made in this business is in the buy. It's how you buy. is going to decide everything about your success in this. And, you know, I have made comments before, and actually in one of my blog posts, I had posted that for me, if I can tell a booth that is all bought from thrift stores. Mm-hmm. If every single thing you purchase as a vendor is purchased at a thrift store, I can tell. Mm-hmm. Now, don't ask me how, but usually I can tell because it's kind of mediocre merchandise and it's priced a little bit too high. Mm-hmm. And the whole booth kind of gets like that. And, you know, I'm a buyer. I'm also a buyer. So when I see that, I'm like, ugh, this may not be good for the show. If I don't want to buy anything here, does anybody? But some people do. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit, maybe just because I've been doing this so long, other people wouldn't notice that. But and then I want to retrace back to what you said about having a business card. The other part of that is not being afraid to tell someone you're a dealer. This seems to be a thing where people pretend they're not dealers. Right. Silly. I once had a lady try to buy some things from me and said that her china cabinet burned in a fire. And now she's replacing the stuff from her china cabinet. So she needed all these teacups. And this is like 15 years ago, you know, when teacups were still popular. And it's like, oh God, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. You're a dealer. Now, if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I'm a dealer. All right. Now, I have a vintage clothing and jewelry show, which you know, when you've been to it. I don't love vintage clothes. I don't love selling vintage clothes. When I get them, I normally sell them to another dealer because it's just something I don't deal in. And I don't like dealing in it. They do. So I'm not greedy. And I'll flip it. And if they want to mark it up more, they can. I don't care. So I think like it's a big, having a business card. Here's another one. We have something that I don't want to tell anyone, but I'm going to anyway. We have garbage days, spring cleanup up here in the North Burbs. And man, it can be really good picking. But I cannot tell you how many times I've been standing at someone's curb looking in their garbage where they are out there or they come out. I introduce myself. I tell them what I do for a living. I tell them I own a vintage market. And you want to know how many times I've been invited in the house? 5 times. Mm-hmm. 5 times. Just from garbage days or spring cleanup days where I just come out on the curb. They come out. I introduce myself. I don't pretend that I am desperate for this old whatever because my house burned down and I'm trying to refill it with stuff. I mean, I'm honest about who I am. I'm honest about what I do. And for whatever reason, that gives you the opportunities that I think a lot of people miss.
I actually did that more than once. all dealers do. But I even took it a step further. They were throwing out a chair, that was a great chair. And the guy came up to me and I thought, oh, he's going to start screaming at me. And I said, this is just a great chair. And again, be honest, be genuine, be who you are, right? And I said, it's silly you're throwing this out. I said, can I give you $10 for it? Which he thought I was insane. Smart. He took it and then invited me into his garage. And then he had all the signage and boom, which I paid him some big money for. Awesome. Right? It's, you know, yeah. And come on, like people, you know, $10, $20, it's a cocktail here or there. You really, with how expensive things are, it's no money at all.
Good. You know? People, they'll tell other people about you.
Oh.
So if I'm good to somebody and I tell them, tell your friends, if they've got stuff that they would like to get a few bucks for before they throw it out to the curb, call me.
Right.
I'll come over and take a look at it. You know, if it's nothing, I'll tell you. If it's something, maybe I'll buy it.
And that's after the referrals, which we're just saying,
right?
Which is, well, yes. I get, you know, well, my neighbor said you buy things, you look at things, and it takes time. Like all these things are saying, it takes time. It's not going to happen right away. But you do that for 3 to 6 months. There's stuff out there. There's stuff out there.
Within a year, if you really buckle down and decided, I am going to share as much information as I can about what I do because I want to try to get stuff, I would bet you within a year, you would have so much stuff, you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And I'm always surprised when someone tells me I don't have any stuff. And I understand there's people that work and this is a side hustle. And there are people who, yeah, they just don't have time to, I guess, maybe really put themselves out there. So in that case, how do you buy? I would have to say garage sales and estate sales.
Right.
And that has to be like, you have to make that your job then. And learn while you're in there. Because I think, go ahead.
And isn't it better when, and people, of course, dealers get, much of their merchandise from resale stores, thrift stores. I don't.
Not
I really
either.
never did up much. Because
I enjoy it a little bit sometimes, but no, it's not my go-to.
Well, now it's so competitive, and going like, isn't it better to get it from the source, get it from the actual house, right? And again,
yes.
That's a relationship. Buying something in a thrift store is no relationship, except with you and the clerk.
No.
So,
and also, if you're doing estate sales and going to estate sales, introduce yourself to the estate sale company.
Oh,
be a good buyer. Be a good buyer, because if you are a good buyer, you will get calls when maybe a good sale is coming up, or maybe there's something that they can't do a sale, but it's smaller and they'll call you to buy.
Right.
There are just these, it's all about relationship building.
And things that did not sell at the sale.
Right.
Because, the owner of the house or the estate sale company just priced it too high, or there wasn't the right customer that came along. And they might go, hey, wait a minute, you were that guy who you were interested in it. That was a little too close for you, so you couldn't buy it. And then they reach out to you. It's definitely pre-sales, post-sales, and now again, like with COVID, there's a lot of places that can't have sales, even
right.
beyond COVID. They're just buildings where they're not allowed to have an estate sale. Well, you've got to get really efficient on that, but as does the seller. So we're really just saying, and it's an old line, just be there. Yeah. Just be there. Just be accessible. Hey,
make yourself some postcards that say, buying old stuff, and pin it on the board of your building.
Yeah, and again, if your specialty, it's vintage clothing or whatever it is, put it on there. Get your name out there.
Right, and don't be afraid to pick up the phone if you don't recognize the number. If you do that,
right, and for that, and you're absolutely right. There's many people, the economy and everything. It's an absolute, side hustle. But this is, given the internet and texting and email, you can be answering emails at 3 a.m. and I do. Nothing wrong with that. This is totally a 24-hour business, 7 days a week. I think it's an 8-day-a-week business as of late. How things have opened up. I mean, it's never been busier. Not just for myself. I hear that from almost every dealer.
Well, we both know that baby boomers are downsizing, and they're also downsizing their parents at the same time.
Right.
So this is the biggest generation who is moving out of their big houses, and they're moving into condos, and they're not taking this house packed full of stuff.
They can't.
And I don't know, what was it? The 70s and 80s were pack your house full of stuff. Mm-hmm. That was the goal, sure. And I can't tell you how many people that I've met that are downsizing and at the same time downsizing their parents. So they have their stuff and their stuff. And their parents were, the boomer parents lived through the Great Depression. So you got a lot of hoarders there. People who are always, just holding on to everything. So here's the way I'm just going to blanket statement this. There is so much shit out there that our landfills are going to be full within 10 years. So part of me also is just the whole that's a huge issue, huge. And do you know that there is such a thing called fashion pollution, where clothing is becoming one of the biggest landfill fillers, as well as furniture. So if we continue to recycle, I mean, without really trying to say this in the right way to make it sound good, but you know, we're moving things between us and those things are staying out of landfills. So it's not just history. It's also, it's about common sense. You know, stop buying this new crap that you end up throwing into the garbage and ends up in a landfill. And back to the garbage days or the spring cleanup days, one thing I always say to somebody when I'm standing on their pile is, hey, I hope you don't mind me recycling. You know, I'm meaning I'm going to take this stuff away so that it doesn't go to the landfill. And they always seem to be appreciative of that. Oh, good. Okay, cool. It's true. I'm recycling.
It's the greenest of businesses. And
it is.
And young people get that, which is really wonderful. And I think that's another reason that this business has gotten a shot in the arm in the last 3 to 5 years. I'm going, I don't
It's a lot more interesting than what you're ever going to find in Target. You know, nobody's going to the mall today. Hold on, let me back up. Let's not pretend that we're all going to Target. You're going to find more interesting things than you're ever going to find on Amazon that are going to get dropped on your doorstep. I would have to believe that over the past 18 months, we've all developed a certain love for Amazon, but you're not going to find what's at the Vintage Garage and what's at BAM. You're just not going to find it online. You're not going to find it all together at once on Amazon, and they're not going to deliver it to your door. So you actually might have to spend one day shopping in in person for things like BAM and the garage. I mean, these are just the items that you can find are just not going to be found any other way. Period. So you're going to have to come out. You're going to have to actually come out for a day. And I think people will. You know, I love Amazon as much as anybody, but I know that when the show starts, I can't wait to shop. I haven't shopped in what feels like forever. I can't wait to have it all at my fingertips, you know? Like I want to see everything that everybody's picked up and brought in. So
there's nothing like
I don't want to hear anybody. If there's a dealer who says to me, yeah, I don't have anything. Well, what are you doing coming? Don't come.
Right.
So I don't know, did I just go off on a tangent there? Did I just run off into the woods?
No, I mean, you're really reflecting what's going on. Offhand, I'm just going to tell a stupid story, but because I just like kind of blew my mind, was the one day there was a Amazon guy was like dropping off packages, and then I realized I'm seeing him all the time, and he's just got all these packages. But a great majority of the packages were going to one apartment, and I was like, what's going on with that? And I'm catching him on the way out, and this guy's just dragging. You know, it's like Friday afternoon, he's beat, and I says, wow, you know, somebody's really, you know, buying up a storm. And he goes, you know what's happening here? He says, this is a person who is going online, and if she sees one pair of shoes, she buys it in every color. And she sees one style of dress, and she buys it in every color. And then decides what she doesn't want, and he's picking all these boxes up and taking them back. Now, okay, yeah, however, I'm sure that's costing somebody a lot of money, but to think of the environment that we are flying shoes and dresses around, which someone is just returning for just a whim, right?
Yes.
Just the environment, what this shoes and dresses are killing the environment. And this guy's back. And I'm thinking, like, I mean, I would never do that, but I'm going, oh God, people can. I guess just because people can. And they're just abusing it. And thankfully in vintage, we don't do that. There's one. This is the one you're buying or not, you know?
Right. And that's such a good point.
That's one thing that I always found very sexy about this this business is it's that exclusivity, you know.
Right.
Again, the house you live in, that's the one house. I have one screen like this. It's a real screen. One.
Yeah.
There's just one. There's not a mass-produced thing. You know, I need a dozen of them next Thursday. No.
Oh, but I have 3 light brights.
You know, well, and they're all. But oh yeah, you do. Bitcoin.
I do need. I have to light up the one. I couldn't get the plug in because my fan is plugged in. So.
Well, and that's not to say. You know, I know we could go on. That's a whole other tangent about collections. Because you just get one of one thing, and then you get 3 of them, or 12 of them, or 20 of them, and they become something else. And then I'm fascinated about it. Write about that every once in a while of people's collections, but of course they're not all identical. There's something a little different about each one. Somebody's frogs,
story to be
owls, or you know, just we could go on and on. So it's not that they really are all unique in that each one is different. But that's a collection.
It's like a curated collection.
Yeah, that's what people collect, and we should talk. We'll talk more about that.
We'll definitely have an
episode collectors, because that's. Again, I just love that feeds my soul.
And I think that's how a lot of people get started in this business, is they are collectors. And then, and in fact, you know, once I sold off those promo cars, I didn't know what direction to go in. So I went into American dinnerware. Okay. I don't know why. I just thought it was cool. You know, I liked Fiesta wear, and I liked, and in fact, we use Fiesta every day, but, I liked Luray. Remember Luray dishes?
Yeah,
they're
pastels.
Cool.
Pastels, yes.
Love them. Yes. So I collected these, and then I would look for the expensive pieces. You know, there was like some kind of rare out there, like a bud vase and a pern, and then I would, like, if I found something like that, I would sell it, and then I would buy more dishes that I needed. You know, like, so I think that's another good way people get started in this business, is collecting.
Yeah,
but. Let's recap the couple of tips that we said about if you can't find anything. So we talked about having a business card, not making yourself a secret, you know, not pretending that you're filling your china cabinet because you were in a fire. Pretend you're a dealer. And then what was our third one?
Well, don't be a jerk. I want to throw that one in there. Be kind. Just be kind.
Spread the word. Make sure that you're being, you know, people find out all the time. And, you know, if you're helping somebody that you know who's downsizing, then the chances are that they have friends who are downsizing. And they can tell people, hey, you know, we made like $1,000 selling stuff we were going to put on the curb. And that helped pay for XYZ or whatever. So, you know, give people a reason to recommend you to someone else. And then, you know, it cuts down on your time in terms of having to go to the thrift store or going shopping or going out on the weekends. So it's building a reputation that you will come and buy stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And then what? So wait, do we have a third, or was that the third?
Well, I think
no. There should be a third.
It segues into buy from the source, by getting from someone's home. Yeah. You know, thrift stores. Again, you know. Yeah. But relationships.
I will say, I did go to the thrift store once over the past year. And can you see that behind me, behind the light bright that's not lit up? You see that kind of retro artwork back there?
Yeah.
I got that at a thrift. There was a bunch of
like Ready Kilowatt from here.
Yeah, it does. And it's not super old, but it's retro and it's funky and it's cool. Yeah. I found the guy's website. You can actually... And I thought, oh, maybe this is something I'll do for marketing, but you can actually purchase some of his images to use online, like if you wanted to use them for advertising. So anyway, yeah, you can find some things at the thrift, but don't make it your main source of inventory. You know, if you want to go for fun and look around, maybe you'll find something.
Yeah.
But
I never thought about it that, you know, you always have we're just going to call it a psychic ability of knowing that this booth came from a thrift store. I think that's really smart. Now I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, that you nailed it.
I bet
you nailed it on that
too.
You know, and I bet other people will now go like, yeah, that's what that looks like, and that's not, you know, it's not a good thing. Yeah.
No, well, okay, let me tell you what it's not a horrible thing, but it's not a great thing. It's a really mediocre thing. And if you want to be a mediocre dealer, then that's what you're going to get if you do it only that way.
Right.
You know,
and there's nothing wrong with starting out that way. You know, we're not knocking that at all. But the longer you're in this, what's going to what you're going to get excited about. You're going to learn so much more about things, and you're going to, you know, I don't want to knock a Penguin ice bucket. I like Penguin ice buckets, but I'll be like, well, there's the Penguin ice bucket with the wooden handle. I'm going to wait till I find one with Bakelite handle because that's a better one. You just kind of learn like little things going, yeah, okay, yeah, it was $6.99, but I'm going to wait till I don't mind $6.99, but I want a Bakelite handle one. Dopey thing, just dopey, because you learn.
Right.
And the conditions of things. You buy something and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's missing a part. There's a part that goes with this. You didn't know that. Now you do. We all make our mistakes. We've all kissed toes. Yeah. You know, that's
a learning curve.
It's a learning curve.
You know, and I still am learning so much today. And the one thing I've learned is, like you said, going straight to the source, you win. Yep. You win. You go straight to the source, pay well, and you get a bunch of stuff, and they'll refer you to someone else. Be professional, have that card, give them an extra one. And you will begin to get those calls. I mean, listen, I used to run ads in the paper in Michigan. For at least the first 5 years I was here, I still got calls almost every day from Michigan, from an ad that I ran that people would rip out, put on the refrigerator, and then like call me 6 years later. And it does, you can do that. And there's so much stuff out there. I mean, you know, we even got to a point in 2019 where we just quit buying because we had enough stuff. Yep. And I had people who said, please just come get it. We'll donate. You know, you can have it. Just come get it. Yeah. So when people say to me, I can't find anything, I have a hard time with that.
Right.
Because if I have people dropping things off at my house because they would rather do that, you know, than put it on the curb or take it to the donation bin. If that's happening to me, that could happen to anybody.
Absolutely.
There's enough stuff out there that if you have that ability to put yourself out there, you're going to be good. You're going to be great.
Yeah. And again, it doesn't happen right away, but it's true. And even when I say, you know, 90% of the things I don't buy, it's mainly because I've got enough stuff. I just don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, Jim and I were in a condo 2 weeks ago. Okay. We went in, we both knew we don't need anything. So what are we going to buy? We're going to buy what appeals to us, and it's going to be cheap because we don't really need anything. So, you know, when you go into it with that attitude, so what we walk into is a 102-year-old woman who had lived in this condo for 50 years. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there, you know, a lot of interesting memorabilia and things. I mean, you know, I found some great old, she liked hats. And so she bought millinery things, like some great old bags from old millinery shops in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, just great graphics and great, you know, really, really cool stuff like that. But she also had some cool furniture. Well, we don't do furniture. And I called someone who I knew would come out, would quote them a price, and would take it away. And while we were there, that's what we instructed them to do. We said, listen, we can help you save the wear on your back. Call him. He'll come and buy it. He'll actually give you a few bucks, and he's going to take it away for you. They were thrilled. Yeah. They were absolutely thrilled. And they got a decent price for their stuff. You know, I told them, this is what you can get for this. And you know what? He'll gladly pay it, I'm sure. And he did. He came in, he helped clean them out. And we did a pretty good service to the people that, you know, had to deal with this clean out of 52 years, I believe, of stuff in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah. Or condo. So there's all kinds of things that I think you can do to collaborate with people. And it can get sticky. So I don't like to collaborate a whole lot. I mean, if I'm going to give a referral, I'm just giving it freely. I don't expect anything in return.
Absolutely.
If I did, I mean, it would be probably wouldn't be a good thing. But I try to spread the wealth, or I try to spread the, you know, if I've gotten everything that I want but I think there's more there for somebody else, well, I'm going to call them and say, hey, go ahead, have at it.
Right. You're providing a service, you're solving a problem, you're offering resources. And
yes.
I do the same thing. And I think we're just putting that out there, to others. Do these things. It's in a way, it's, I mean, we're not being all, godlike about this, but you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward. And my back got scratched. I'm happy. And my God, will people love you? And talking about referrals and all that, because even a 102-year-old lady, I'm sure she's got neighbors and friends.
Sure. I mean, there's a whole, that's what I'm saying. Like when I say put your card up that says I buy stuff, that's the kind of building that I am talking about.
Yeah.
This is the kind of place where people see what you're doing and say, hey, what are you doing? And you say, I'm buying a bunch of stuff. Here's my card.
I've gotten calls from dormant buildings, the managers of the building. Again, they're going like, hey, we need some help here. Do you know anybody who was interested in blah, blah, blah? We need to, I mean, there's the old adage, this is a business of endings, right? So, death, divorce.
Is it really? Is it? Or is it?
No, we know it is. It is. But I think what we're pointing out, I mean, just historically, people talk about that. It's a phrase. I didn't come up with it. That it's a business of endings. But
that way.
But what we're talking about today is, but this is how things have new beginnings. This is how we move things forward, right? So here, like downsizing. Downsizing is a bit of an ending, right? But it's a new opportunity for those people who are, obviously downsizing, going into their new condo,
Sure.
And we're solving a problem. And I say that's one of the things that I really like. Because at this point, that feeds my soul. I feel good about something. I know I helped somebody, and if I made a couple bucks, great. If I didn't, that's okay. But I've had people call me going, even though I didn't buy anything, but the referrals I gave them, and they called up just to thank, or I get a card. Oh my God, somebody sends me a card. When does somebody send a card in the mail? It's just, it's great. It's great. So
that's what you have to do. I mean, if you want to be trusted, if you want to be called, then you have to give.
Right.
You have to give a little bit. You have to tell people, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to give you some advice. Even if you don't want anything, you can give people good advice. I mean, there are things that can be done where, I mean, the way I see it is, especially like if you're a boomer who's downsizing, and like I said, this couple who was downsizing or cleaning out the 102-year-old's condo, well, they're in their 70s. And this is a lot of work for them. And they're exhausted.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many times they said, thank you for coming and taking some stuff away, and then having somebody else come and take some stuff away. And both times we made money.
Yep.
And that is helping us deal with this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a service that you can offer. And if you offer it and you do it genuinely, you're going to get great merchandise out of it.
Yeah, and I think this is a part of this kind of underground economy, which nobody really talks about, which is, I think, why we wanted to do vintage therapy. Is this something that's there and we know about it? And, if this, information assists, well, really, everybody, not just, this isn't just for dealers.
I agree.
That it's
just and it's for people to know too, that the majority, it's the Antiques Roadshow syndrome, I like to call it, where if you're a person who is living in a house that you want to downsize all of this stuff, but you've been watching Antiques Roadshow and you think there's a couple of $100,000 items in here that you're afraid to potentially sell, that is not happening the majority of the time. 95% of the time, that is not going to be the case, okay? If your family was East Coast money or Chicago money, maybe you will have something like that. But if you were normal, average people, then you're going to have normal, average people stuff, but that's still desirable to a lot of people. It may not be super expensive. You may not get a fortune for it, but you'll get something for it, which is better than nothing. And that's kind of what happens a lot. I mean, you see dumpsters pulled up to houses that are just emptied into a dumpster. And again, that's going to the landfill, and that's not good. So there's so many parts to this, you know? And yeah, it's just, and dealers, this is something that if you deal in vintage, you can help these people come up with a better solution than putting it to the curb. This extends that history. It extends the life of these things. And just like I said with the 102-year-old woman, I mean, for me, she also loved to travel. So to me, to see the souvenirs of her travels around the world, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So I get to keep these things, give them a new life, and tell their story.
Right.
And that appeals to me. And I think it appeals, I think that there's a little bit of that in every dealer. Don't you?
I think so. I often say to people, and they have a hard time accepting it, but if you can set aside the money, which is it's a big ask, I get it. But you set aside the money, and oftentimes I feel like when I've found things in a house, I feel like I've rescued a kitten. That I knew this is not gonna make it through the end of the day, for God's sakes, right? And it makes some money on it. It's absolutely great, but that this was headed towards the dumpster. I've had dealers call me, my own dealers call me and say, there's a chapter in my book about this very topic.
Selling dead people's things?
Selling dead people's
Or my book, selling live people's things.
we're still waiting for that.
Remember our competition?
I remember. My attorney will be contacting you shortly. But a dealer calls me, and there was all these, I won't get into the whole story, but there were things in the house that they were having an estate sale, and the family decided, we don't want this in the house, and in the dumpster it went. And he calls me going, I don't know what to do. They threw it out. And I said, well, buy it from them. They don't want the money. It's just a bizarre situation. He ended up giving them some money and emptying their garbage for them, you know, and brought them all in, and we cleaned everything up. I want to talk about sanitation issues here, right? And sold it all. So again, it's like rescuing a puppy or a kitten. So put the money aside. I'm sorry.
When you think about the people that have stuff, do they really want to go set up an account on eBay, build a reputation, pay fees, take the time to photograph everything? No, generally people don't want to do that.
No. And there are fewer and fewer services that's provided now of people putting things on eBay for people because of the amount of time and expense. It's just that it's not worth it. It's simply not worth it.
No.
So that's unnecessary when there's a dealer there who wants to buy it. We can do the deal right now. Off we go.
Right. And I've never done consignments because I was always afraid I would lose it or break it by the time I would get to it.
Yeah.
So owning it myself meant I can sell that whenever I need to. I'm not under any pressure. And personally, consignment is not the way I think is a good way to get stuff.
Well, and if you look around, again, I've been around long enough, there used to be consignment stores.
I remember.
Timewell. Everybody remembers, I think it was called Timewell in Lincoln. Cool. That business model doesn't work. It's as simple as that. It just doesn't
really doesn't.
Right? And even now, if we really don't do consignment, but to go and tell somebody, listen, it could take 6 months or a year for me to sell this.
Right.
I'll just buy it from you now. Here's what I'll buy.
And then the other part is what kind of percentages are you making? I mean, when you look at retail prices, I mean, things are marked up significantly. They're not doubling their money. Okay. They're 10 timesing, 100 timesing their money. They have to, because there's so many expenses, and we have the expenses as well. Yeah. It is not free. So we are not, I guess if you knew somebody who had something that was worth $5,000 and they're like, listen, we'll just give you half of it. If you do this, put it up for sale for us, that's one thing that might work. especially if you have nothing into it. But for the most part, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And to your point too, you know, then you're responsible for that item
Right.
while you have it.
And they want to know. They want to know what's happening. And I, mean,
right.
I remember an eBay, you know, thing from years ago that I was on TV and I got a call and I decided to give it a try. And what's giant dolls? Patty Play Pal, or they're like this tall. You know what I'm talking about?
No, it sounds scary.
Okay. Well, it is a little bit scary. Well, some of them are worth quite a bit, or were worth quite a bit. And it was, of course, the variants, the hair color, you know, stuff like that. Well, this guy just wanted to know why. Why did mine sell for this? I said, you know, and then I have to go through that. He just could not understand that for the life of him. You know, one Patty Play Pal was the same as every other one. So they don't know that collectors are crazy and you know, they're looking for that really weird off thing that makes it more valuable. And when someone doesn't understand that, it makes it really hard to sell their stuff for them.
Right. And there are just fluke sales. They're just every once in a while, somebody just wanted it because they wanted it. And maybe online overpaid for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you how many times we sell something for full price, but you know, maybe a year later. It just happens. And that's not always normal.
No.
That doesn't, it's not always indicative of the value.
Right. Well, yeah.
All right.
We'll have to talk more. There's a whole cavalcade of topics there. Yeah. Stop us, people. Stop us. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're at a good place to stop for today. And we will be back with more topics. Like I said, we have over 300 responses from vendors who told me what the biggest problems in our business are. Finding stuff, that is one of the top 5. So I think we addressed this pretty well. You know, I feel like we've given some really good information. Take it to heart, use it and do it, because there's a lot of secrets in this business. People don't tell you how they do stuff, and we just did.
Yep.
You know, we just told them exactly what we do and how we do it.
Yeah.
Take it to heart and use it for what it's worth, because it's worth a lot.
Put on your listening ears. We're talking.
That's right, everyone. Put on your listening ears. All right, we're going to be back with more vintage therapy, and we'll see you on the next one.